All right, if I can have everybody's attention, I think my microphone's working. Can everybody in the back hear okay? All right, good, thanks. We have a great crowd today. Thanks everybody for attending. I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that if we're talking about innovation, that Huntsville's the epicenter of that for the state of Alabama, so it's great to see everybody here today. We'll take a moment to welcome everybody in just a minute, but let me first thank the board for your time, energy, and effort to be here today. It takes a significant amount of time. We demand and request and require a lot from the board members as well as the staff to prepare for today. So thank you all who contributed to make today happen. With that, I'll ask Jordan Howard, would you please call the roll?
Chair Bill Poole.
Here.
Vice Chair Greg Reed.
Here.
Representative Anthony Daniels.
Here.
Representative Danny Garrett.
Here.
Senator Garland Gudger.
Here.
Senator Bobby Singleton. Mr. A. Parker.
Here.
Mr. Rich Beelan.
Here.
Dr. Michael Chambers.
Here.
Mr. Dave King.
Here.
Ms. Brittany Somerville.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, we do have a quorum, so I'll officially call this meeting of the Alabama Innovation Corporation into order. We'll turn the floor over to Secretary Greg Reed for opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, again, welcome. Exciting to be in Huntsville. I'm going to recognize some important guests that are with us today, but the first one that I want to say something about, as elected officials in the room, we've got several of them that are on our board, but no one has been leaned in hotter than Anthony Daniels in the idea of us showing up here for a meeting. So, Mr. Leader, we're here. So, yes, sir. We appreciate Anthony Daniels. Certainly, Mayor Tommy Battle is with us. Mayor, thank you for hosting us in your town. The former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chairman Mac McCutcheon. Mr. Chairman, thank you for entertaining us here in your community. Thank you so much. The Chairman of the General Fund, Rex Reynolds, is with us. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Also, other members of the House of Representatives, Parker Moore. Parker, thank you for being with us, sir. Andy Whitt, I saw Andy as well. Sir, good to see you today. Marilyn Lands, is Marilyn still with us? She was here earlier, so we appreciate her being with us today. Also, to recognize those that are elected officials, even on our board, we appreciate Chairman Danny Garrett, Mr. Chairman, President Gudger, President Garland Gudger. Mr. President, thank you for being here today. We've mentioned already our friend Anthony Daniels and our colleague, and unfortunately Bobby Singleton, the minority leader in the Alabama Senate, as has happened to all of us in times past, had car trouble, so he's dealing with a tow truck in Birmingham, and so he's wishing he was here with us. But anyway, we want to thank all of these elected officials for being with us. I think there were many others that were here during the reception time we had from 1 to 2 today. So we appreciate the hospitality we have already received from our good friends here in Huntsville, Alabama. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Secretary Reed. I do, again, want to emphasize the appreciation to all of the elected officials that are here. It's important that the elected officials understand that the work that the Innovate Alabama is engaged in is important for the state of Alabama for the reasons that we all understand. But thank you for taking the time to attend today. With that, we will move into the business portion of our meeting today. First item on our agenda is consideration of the June 10th, 2025 board meeting minutes. If anybody has questions or comments related to the minutes, please share those. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We'll move forward in the agenda to a review of Innovate Alabama's 2025 focus areas, and I'll turn the floor over to our CEO, Cynthia Crutchfield. You're right. I'm sorry. I bounced ahead. Mayor, I think I'd like to recognize you for comments. My apologies. And Chase. Sorry. I came in hot today.
I'd like to say thank you to each of you for coming to our city. You honor us by being here, and it really is a special thing when we have Innovate Alabama come in. Same day that we started our Cyber Summit, which is the National Cyber Summit, which we've been doing for the past 7 years. Got 3,000 people sitting down at Von Braun Center talking about the cyber future of the country and of the world. And when you start looking at what Innovate Alabama does, you know, it's given us that competitive edge. When we want to be, our community always wants to have that competitive edge. So when we compete against somebody from anywhere in the U.S. or anywhere internationally, that we have a competitive edge that helps us, maybe helps us win a project. And that competitive edge is exactly what you're doing right here. Through innovation, you find that competitive edge. We've started groups, we work in the AI field, we work in the cyber field, we work in the geospatial field. All of those are to give us centers of excellence so that we can learn enough so that when we go out and we work anywhere in the world, that we can show that we have centers of excellence. And those centers of excellence bring jobs, they bring opportunity. The whole bottom line of everything that we do is bringing opportunity. Opportunity for someone to get a job, some opportunity for somebody who has a job to get a better job. Opportunity to be part of the progressive, the part of America where you can go out and you can earn a good living, you can put food on the table, put a roof over your head, raise a family, do all the things that you're looking to do, and it comes through innovation. Your innovation efforts here are going to help make not only Alabama a better place, but make the whole nation a better place, help make the world a better place. So thank you for what you do. You honor us by being here. And we're going to name Anthony as chairman in charge and host of you. He will buy you drinks. He will buy you meals. If your dog and cat needs to be walked, we'll find somebody to do that too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. We appreciate your leadership. Next, we'll recognize Chase Wortman.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chase Wortman, CEO here at Outpost Technologies. So I'm glad I got to follow our mayor here, welcoming you to Outpost Technologies and to North Alabama and Huntsville. So we're very grateful to have you up here with us today. We have a special place in our hearts for Innovate Alabama, and we've had the opportunity now 4 times over to get to work with you guys on a couple different efforts. So appreciate the time to tell you a little bit about Outpost. You know, we've been in business now 8 years. I'm a Huntsville native, born and raised here, care for the city greatly, and being able to start a company here was always a dream of mine. And having the support of the state and our city, we've had a lot of great examples over the years of how a company can be started here and grow to national relevance. And everything that you guys are doing is just reinforcing that ability to do that. So we have been able to work with the supplemental grant program 3 times over, and recently a talent development program. And the supplemental grants, as Mayor Battle told us, it gives us a competitive advantage that we were able to turn into Phase 2 awards for SBIR and STTR programs and bring, I think it was about $300,000 turned into about $5.5 million in federal funds to Huntsville. And so that competitive advantage is huge for a growing business. We've been very fortunate over the past 3 years. We've been averaging about 70% year-over-year revenue growth, and that wouldn't have been possible without the investment from the state and working with you guys on that. So along with that, not just dollars, those are jobs. So we've gone in the past 3 years from 10 people to over 30 people today, so tripled in size along with that growth. So about a quarter of our staff is either not from Alabama originally or is coming back to Alabama because we've been able to create jobs in the field, in the high-tech space and defense industries that they want to work. They want to come home and work in those industries, and we've been able to make that happen and give those opportunities. So again, just want to say thank you for you guys coming today. Along with the investment here, you know, we're trying to turn around and feed back into the community, use that money wisely. If you were at the reception earlier, you got to meet our ASCTE interns, so we're lucky enough to have 5 of those. The talent development program is going to be working with them directly to help them continue to grow, but then also working with our universities. So we've been very fortunate to be able to give back to universities over the time. So thank you again for being here today. We hope everything goes smoothly. If you get random applause from the rain, it may just be rain. But thank you all, and if you need anything, I guess a few housekeeping notes. Restrooms are down the hall here if anybody needs them, and otherwise, just give me a shout. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chase, for hosting us today and for all of your work here at Outpost. And I think your comments as they relate to access to capital for Alabama small business and the need to recruit and retain talent, I think speaks to several of our core pillars in our strategy. So thank you for that. Next, we'll recognize Chip Cherry. Mr. Cherry.
As was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of work that goes into this process, and I want to thank the board for all the work you're doing and the vision it took to set this up. It's appropriate you're in Huntsville because prior to the space race, the rocket team arriving here, we were known as the watercress capital of the world. So obviously we pivoted from that type of low technology, I guess, to trying to solve all the complex problems it took to take man to the moon, bring them back, and successfully. And all those technologies were born here, and an ecosystem was developed here that didn't exist prior to that. And you guys are taking the next steps to put us in the forefront of today's technologies and innovations. And I want to thank you for the partnerships that you've engaged with us on. The Defense Tech Accelerator, which we just announced our second cohort going through that program, and hopefully that helps us to rebuild and re-energize the small business community and the innovation that takes place in Alabama. The work we're doing with veteran recruitment, which you'll hear from Lindsay more about that later on, and then the work we're doing on Propel and small business support. So thank you for all you're doing, and we greatly appreciate it and kind of leading from the front on this.
All right. Thank you, Chip, for all of your work. All right, with that, I was anxious to get in our business part of our agenda today, so we'll move into that now, and I'll turn the floor over to Cynthia Crutchfield, who will take up addressing Innovate Alabama's 2025 focus areas. Cynthia.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm so excited that we have such a large crowd in Huntsville. I do want to thank our elected officials. Absolutely, we could not do the work had it not been for your vision and your support. So we really thank you all for allowing us to be able to do this work. I'm going to talk just very briefly because I want to make sure that we stay on schedule. We have a very packed schedule today. I'm just going to highlight a few of the items that we've been involved in over the last few months, and then you'll hear from the directors who'll talk to you about some of the future efforts that we're doing. For us, priority this year was really looking at collaboration and activation across the entire state. We've been working really sort of in pockets, trying to make sure that each region, if you will, is developing programs that work for them. But this particular year, we took a little bit of a pivot in that we wanted to bring the communities together in convenings versus having them work sort of separately. And in that, it gave those organizations an opportunity to really exchange ideas. If you're doing something in North Alabama that you may not be doing in South Alabama, you had an opportunity to do that. The first thing we did was sponsorship of SLOS Tech. That's the only major tech conference in the state of Alabama. So rather than doing a new conference, we sponsored that conference to build on the tech work that we do. We had over 1,200 participants in that conference. So that's growing from when we started a few years ago, from 300 to over 1,200 attendees. So really representing progress in terms of making sure that not just Alabamians understand the value proposition of the technology hub, but also making sure that people outside of the state recognize Alabama as that tech hub. During SLOS Tech, we did have an activation where we invited the accelerators, the incubators across the state. So if you're in Decatur, if you're in Huntsville, Mobile, Montgomery, Birmingham, we invited you to participate in what we call an activation that was called Alabama HQ, where we had really displays from each of the regions so that the attendees of the conference would really understand what's going on in each region. So if you're bioscience, biotech, you might be more interested in Birmingham, Mobile, Huntsville. It just depends on your interest. You got to see that in one place in the state of Alabama, and that was Birmingham. So we're very proud of that engagement. We also did a collaboration with what I believe is the major economic development organizations within the state of Alabama. Also during SLOSTEC, we presented with Department of Commerce, EDPA, and Innovate Alabama to make sure that organizations, businesses, small businesses, understand that they have a journey through the state of Alabama and that our organizations are going to support them through that journey from early stage all the way to the grow and scale stage. So we've been focused on that. We did a joint panel. We actually opened the conference with Secretary McNair, Miller-Gervin from EDPA, and then myself from Innovate. That was very well received, and we've been asked to duplicate that across the state. So very good accomplishments. I don't know, Alabama, I really love catfish, so I actually did, in looking at the rural spaces, we did visit Harvest Select to get more information about some of the innovative things that they're doing in the catfish industry. So we really do try to look across the board to make sure that in the state, we're looking at all pockets and we're looking at all types of innovation, not just the ones that, might be high tech like space and things like that. So we're really trying to make sure that we lean into all of the tech areas. That's primarily, I think, where we've gone. So you'll hear a lot about where we're going in terms of looking ahead, starting that rural engagement, really leaning into the communities and more information there. I do want to pivot to next year. It is time for us to start looking at our budget. So you have in your packet, to the board members, you have in your packet the proposed budget for 2026, recognizing that we do have a $5 million deficit from what we had last year. So we're working with the $25 million. For the most part, the budget is fairly flat. We did take some adjustments in the Capital Access Initiative and the Venture Studio. We funded most of that last year, so we're not funding as much this year as we did last year, because you're going to hear a little bit later about those funds, and we are ready to roll those out. The studio we've actually already rolled out, and you're going to hear some updates on that one later on today. Where we took the major part of the reduction was in the talent development program and in lifestyle and recreation. I would say so what we're doing is, for the grant-making portion of those two pillars, the grant-making will happen in network designation. We had it separated last year. And that gives us a little bit of flexibility so that we're able to look at the actual applications and then decide which pillars, make sure we get coverage across the state, make sure that we get coverage across the pillars. Those are the primary changes that you're going to see. Business operations remain flat, as did the unencumbered $3 million for us to figure out if we have any special projects and things of that nature that we need to address. So with that, if you're ready for the resolution.
So the proposed FY26 budget is on the floor for comment, consideration, or adoption. Dave?
Propose we accept it.
All right, there's a motion to accept the proposed FY26 budget.
Second.
There's a second by Dr. Chambers. Any questions or comments? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. FY26 proposed budget is adopted. Cynthia?
Okay. Next up, we have external affairs. The board did give as one of our priorities last year to bring on board an external affairs director. We have done that. And Hope, you're up. I was looking for her, I didn't see her.
Good afternoon. I will echo our chairman, our vice chair, and our CEO, elected officials. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Mayor. Thanks for having us in the Rocket City. All right, TC, thank you. I first want to start with just a few little topics that are kind of important to me in my mission as External Affairs Director. Continuing to elevate, innovate Alabama. That is the message that we're trying to give our state and local leaders, our federal leaders, our business community, and our stakeholders. So recently, as you can see, we had a pretty eventful past 3 months since our last meeting in June. July, our CEO, Cynthia, myself, and Charlie Pond, our SSBCI director, took a little trip to DC, and boy, were we busy. We had 5 delegation visits, in addition to 2 Department of Treasury visits to discuss the SSBCI program, which you will hear more from Charlie in just a few. And additionally, we delivered our 2024 annual impact reports, and most importantly, thanked our federal delegation for their continued support and future support as we move forward with what we know will be a new U.S. Senator. So in August, many of you sitting around the board table we got to visit with at the BCA Governmental Affairs Conference, which if you're not familiar with that audience, that is probably the largest governmental affairs conference in the state. I believe well over 800 people were in participation. So Lee, our CEO, and Cynthia, our CEO, were able to visit with elected officials, business communities, stakeholders, and it was all around just a pretty good trip. Additionally, we were able to visit with members of the Alabama Growth Alliance as well as the EDPA board. Moving on to September. September has so far been probably our busiest month to date. We started in Dothan, where our Vice Chairman, Reed, spoke to the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce to provide a Department of Workforce update, in addition to speaking highly of Innovate Alabama. Post that, we were able to engage with the Hudson Alpha Wiregrass Innovation Center and see the progress that they've made through a partnership with Innovate Alabama. With that being said, we also had Senator Donnie Chestoon, who represents the Wiregrass area, and Dothan Mayor Mark Saliba. Moving on to the following week, literally less than 1 week apart, we had an activation with Troy University and their Idea Bank. So through the Innovate Alabama Network, the Idea Bank has been received 2 rounds of funding to strengthen the entrepreneurial system around Troy with the university. So that is actually helping students, small business, and the university drive innovation in rural Southeast Alabama. So what they tried to highlight in partnership with Innovate Alabama are resources that are fueling the entrepreneurship beyond Alabama's major cities and creating opportunities for long-term economic growth. With the local officials that attended there, we were able to hear from Representative Marcus Paramore, who provided a really good update of kind of how this vision started, I believe about 7 years ago, and how it's really come to light so far. And what are the main key takeaways that I think the team, along with Cynthia and myself, was how engaged the students are. Best part to me, and I feel like the rest of the team probably has the same opinion, is the students are actually starting businesses with a student-made store. So it's an actual facility within the Idea Bank of items that the students actually make, whether it be from jewelry, art, clothing, apparel, and they're able to sell those items to the general public and actually receive profits and put back in to the Idea Bank. And then finishing up, another DC trip in partnership with the Alabama Allies. So again, what we're trying to do is just to continue to strengthen our federal relationships and position Alabama as a competitor nationwide. Congressman Rogers actually addressed the crowd prior to beginning the Alabama Allies panel and spoke about, obviously, Space Command. I think that's a hot topic on everybody's list right now, and how the long-term impact is going to be really beneficial for the state of Alabama. Also, I was like, yeah, thanks, guys, yeah. Congressman Rogers also really hit on the point of needing more engineers in the state. And I think I'm correct when he mentioned that Alabama actually graduates the most engineers within the United States, and it's our responsibility to keep them here. So, finishing up with that, we had the panel with Cynthia, our CEO, Ed Castile with AIDT, and Miller Gervin with EDPA, which was moderated by Jason Isbell with Regions Bank, and each panelist kind of provided content of how those 3 entities really work together to promote business within Alabama with their own trademark. Can everybody hear me okay? Maybe kind of, not really. So we concluded that trip with BCA engagement with our federal delegation, which included Senators Tuberville and Britt, Representatives Moore, Figures, Adderholt, Palmer, Congressman Rogers, and Strong. So to round out that, We also attended an Alabama Business Coalition meeting briefing, which was hosted by Senator Katie Britt. That event was attended by over 200 people in business from the state of Alabama. Moving on to our speaking engagements. Thank you. Speaking engagements in media. Just to kind of round out, since June from the last board meeting, we have, Innovate Alabama has participated in over 17 speaking engagements across the state and the country. These are connected with stakeholders, elected officials, communities, and business partners. With that being said, of that, media coverage has been over 80 local, statewide, and regional hits, 22 founder impact stories, and most recently 2 hits on the September DC trip and 4 from the Troy Idea Bank partnership. All right, now, and this is the one that's I'm really excited about. What's ahead? So as you will see on the screen in front of you, we are devising a plan. I say we, Carrie Green, our network designation program director, of a program called Connecting Alabama, Igniting the Innovate Alabama Network. So of this, we have 168 partners within the network designation program. With that, we will be going across the state to these 6 regions, which are highlighted on the map in the order that is listed. So we are launching next month and looking forward to connecting with our local and state officials in their home districts to further collaborate. This plan is to unite the network by bringing members and partners together to celebrate the achievements that will encourage new collaboration. We will also showcase the impact at the local level through an awards presentation and stories that highlight the investment that are improving lives and businesses across the state. Any questions? All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Hope. I would observe, it seems like every time somebody says Space Command, there's heavenly applause. So don't say Space Command, anybody, for the next hour. Cynthia?
Okay, moving on with the agenda. Next up, we have our SSBCI status, and Representative Danny Garrett will give us the introduction.
Thank you. Happy to have the update today about our 2 SSBCI programs, Lend AL and Invest AL. We know that the pivotal role that small businesses play in our state's economy across a wide array of industries. Both of these programs are supporting entrepreneurs and helping businesses scale and grow. We're excited about the impact they're having, and as a reminder, we just received our 2nd tranche of funding in May for these programs. Since the launch of SSBCI, Innovate Alabama has committed or invested over $30 million across the 2 programs, which has unlocked more than $80 million in private capital for Alabama businesses. And I was excited to hear from my colleague, Chairman Witt, who's in the banking business, about his experience with helping facilitate a loan in this regard. And so stories like that need to be shared. And I think that we still have work to do to let our legislature understand what we're all about, let other small businesses know. But that story that I encouraged him to share is exciting. So at this point, we'd like to hear from Charlie Pond, our Executive Director of the program, for an in-depth review and some more information.
Thank you, Representative Garrett. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pretty excited today because I just drove up from Tuscaloosa this morning, been on the road all week. If you all recall, part of our fund-to-fund strategy, we invested in a fund called Halogen Ventures, GP by the name of Jesse Draper, who comes from a long family history of venture capital in the United States. As part of that investment, it's not just the capital, it's also the kind of notoriety that the investment brings to the state of Alabama. That team rolled up their sleeves, got to know our state, crisscrossed to different parts of the state over the last year. And this week, Jessie brought her father down to the state of Alabama, Tim Draper. Tim is a well-known VC in the United States. He's invested in any company that you know of and of the Silicon Valley he's invested in, Uber, Airbnb, SpaceX, Tesla, and now he's invested in Alabama companies. And this is not SSBCI money that he's using. This is outside investment that he's picking companies to put his capital into. And so We got to see a pitch competition in Huntsville on Monday. 10 companies locally participated. There was a winner that advanced to a separate pitch competition. We saw a pitch competition in Tuscaloosa yesterday. 12 companies pitched, one winner. And then today we had the culminating recording of Meet the Drapers. It's a television show that they take on the road. And they take it on the road to exotic places like Abu Dhabi and Paris, New York and LA, and Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You go look at the list of places they've been, and at Tuscaloosa, Alabama, it's a big deal that they're here. The winner today, break some news, was a company called Neat Sheets, based in Huntsville. They are here because they got a Sweet Home Alabama grant through the E-Center, funded by Innovate Alabama's Network Designation Program. They went through the G-Beta program, funded by our tax credit program. And now on their cap table, they have Invest AL, they have Halogen Ventures, and they have Draper Ventures to the tune of $1 million. She is going to, the founder of this company is going to be invited out to LA to pitch for $1 million later this year as part of the Meet the Drapers process. That's the type of network effects that we want out of our access to capital pillars. I wasn't going to start with that. That was going to be the third thing I started with, but today was just so exciting to see that I wanted to lead with that. You'll notice that as Cynthia mentioned, our SLOS Tech engagement. All of these things drive outcomes. We started the SSBCI program and launched it at last year's or 2024's SLOS Tech. This year we had 9 portfolio companies grace the stage of SLOS Tech, showcasing what they're building in the state of Alabama from across the state. You'll see a lot of board members were able to attend. Mr. Harper, you're featured in your Seek Alabama hat, so we appreciate you coordinating a panel there with 2 of our portfolio companies as well. As Hope mentioned, we went to D.C. this summer to visit with not only our delegation but also our Treasury partners, and we did so with the Assistant Secretary, Connor Dunn. We met with the SSBCI program team just to touch base and make sure that they're aware of what our priorities are with the program in the state, how they're streamlining processes, and how the program continues to evolve at the federal level. We feel really good about the availability of Tranche 3 being there for us when we're ready, and we're pursuing that right now. I've got some numbers that are on the slide, and there's a lot of them on there. I will say the key numbers that I want to point to. We talk about the public-private partnership. This program is also public-private. It's designed to be catalytic. And so I want to call attention to the private capital ratios with both of our programs, Lend AL and Invest AL. You see we have a private capital ratio of a little over 2x in the Lend AL program, a little over 5x in the Invest AL program. And so that's important because it shows that outside capital is getting off the sidelines, supporting Alabama startups, Alabama small businesses across the state. The second number I'll call out is that we've now surpassed, nice round number, $1 million in program income. That number is going to continue to accelerate as we continue transacting, but also we see some of the returns from our venture program. And so excited about kind of crossing that threshold. That's money for us to continue supporting the SSBCI program. The last thing I will call out is the fact that if you notice, remaining for Tranche 2, a little over $22 million in the Lend AL program, a little under $6 million in the Invest AL program. We see the demand in venture. We also see the impact of our fund-to-fund strategy, and so we are pursuing a reallocation with Treasury to move some of our funding from debt to venture that's going to allow us to, A, meet the follow-on demand that we're seeing from our existing portfolio companies. We want to be able to protect our pro rata share, but also want to continue allowing them to build in the state, and then also do another RFP for the fund-to-funds program in general. We're going to be launching that this fall. But right at about 27 to 30%, somewhere depending on the day, in progress on Tranche 2. We, as we met with Treasury, when we get to 50%, we can start applying for our next tranche. And then I want to talk about some success stories. We continue to build out our rural engagement program and strategy, and I think that's showing its impact. I'll call out a couple. So Escambia Peanut Company down in Flomaton, Alabama. It's a 33-farmer co-op. They have a peanut buying point. They are, we help them with some liquidity to allow them to meet, it's harvest time right now. They're harvesting peanuts as we speak. And so allow them to prepare for sale later this year, working with United Bank down in South Alabama area. Tango, Trey Sharp was here today. I don't know if any of the board members got to meet him. He's the CEO of Tango. They're changing the game for our first responders through their AI, next-gen safety communications innovation that they're doing, based in Huntsville. So proud to support this Huntsville company here. Black Belt Gin in Selma, Alabama. It's a 41-farmer co-op, supports a lot of that central Alabama area. That is our brand new transaction just approved this morning. Thank you, Cynthia. So the United Bank's going to see this, and they're going to find out those news. I haven't gotten the formal documents to them yet, so need to do that when I get to my computer. But excited to continue partnering with these important small businesses from across the state. The last company I'm not going to say too much on because we've got the CEO here, iExpress Jeans. John Schmidt, I'd like to invite you up to say a few words and tell us what you're building here in Huntsville.
Hi, I'm John, and appreciate the opportunity to talk. So we're in crisis in this country, mental health-wise. Since year 2000, suicides have increased by 40%. Number of mental health diagnoses have doubled. So we're in crisis. We have to look at it in a different way. Fortunately, our company has developed a simple blood-based biomarker blood test that gets in front of the inflammation that is the physiology that leads to all these things. So we're already making national impact with 16 clients having gone just live 60 days ago with over 7 states, 3 commercial contracts, signing a second contract with the VA, and we can't do it. We could not have done it without capital. 2 tours in Iraq, personally, raising money is harder in the Southeast. So, so we are incredibly grateful to hear of the attention and just dedication that you all have of helping us have access to capital. We can move fast. We've got the talent in this community to move fast, to bring together really powerful teams, but without cash, we can't do it. So thank you guys for just keeping it focus and paramount, because for us in the entrepreneurial community, it's paramount. So thank you.
So, thank y'all. Charlie, does that complete your presentation?
Yes, sir.
So I just want to emphasize a couple things. One is, and John just did a good job. I mean, access to capital is a barrier to small business growth in Alabama, and we're helping to serve that across the state through the efforts of Innovate Alabama. But what is equally significant is the follow-on external private capital that we're stimulating to enter into the game. This is not all state money. We're multiplying it with private money inside the state, but also outside of the state. Halogen Ventures is an excellent example. They've committed to contribute $5 million to small Alabama businesses to capitalize their efforts. So that's just one of many examples, and we saw the multiplier there. But I think it is incredible to see that one program has generated over $80 million of external capital contribution that would not arguably have entered into our ecosystem. And I just want to emphasize again, these are Alabama companies. These are not multinational, publicly traded. These are Alabama companies that are owned by Alabamians, that are employing Alabamians, and they're good jobs, and they're going to grow and scale. So the multiplier that we see now, I think, will only increase exponentially as the years go by, as these businesses scale and others come behind them. So I think this really tells a big part of the story that we've got to do a better job of telling our citizens around the state and the legislature and other stakeholders that these things wouldn't be happening, and these are Alabama small businesses. So thank you, Charlie. And I'm sorry I jumped in, Chairman Garrett.
Mr. Chair, just 3 questions, Charlie, just real quick. One, you mentioned the shifting of funds from the LEND program to the INVEST program, your discussion with Treasury. Any real concerns about that being able to happen?
No real concerns. We have a straightforward process. It just takes time for review, so we can't formally say that it's official until we get the blessing from the
Any
treasurer.
concerns about tranche 3? I know when you get to 50%, you can apply for any concerns about that?
That was a big part of our conversation with both politically appointed Treasury folks and program folks, and both sides we heard nothing but good things from.
Okay. And the last question is that, are you seeing in any other similar initiatives in Alabama and other states, are you bumping up against that anywhere else now?
Oh yeah. We maintain communication with our friends in Tennessee and Mississippi and Georgia, North Carolina, so we can share best practices, how we're impacting rural spaces, how we're making the most of these dollars to support the small businesses here.
And I would just echo what you say about just letting people know the data and how important this is, the exponential impact the outside investment this is drawing. That's really key, I think, for our legislature to understand.
Yeah, and the fact that these are small businesses here in Alabama, they're not the large industrial. Secretary Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would certainly echo what Chairman Garrett said. In telling our story, we need to tell our story, okay? Trying to understand that better for myself, where I'm able to tell the story. Go back and give us a little bit of information on the origin of the Drapers. How did that start? I mean, how did they engage to decide we're coming from Dubai to Tuscaloosa, Alabama?
Well, the reason they're here is because of Jesse's relationship with her father. So, and we can go back even further to talk about, why Halogen is part of our program. But, part of the benefit of partnering with a firm that has the reputation of Halogen is that you're going to attract, fish swim together type of thing. You're going to attract investors who, Halogen saw an opportunity in the state of Alabama. Investors are going to say, why? Why did they, what does she see in the state that I'm missing or that I need to come check out? And so that's part of it is, Jessie goes back and talks to her father about the opportunities that she's found to invest in Alabama small businesses. Want to come do the same for themselves because they see the opportunity to help us, help our small businesses get that capital that Chairman Poole is referring to.
Thank you.
But I would say that Halogen is actually based in California, so she's a California company that when we did our RFP for SSBCI, someone recommended to her that she get involved, and she took that step to get involved. The team did their pitch and invited them in, and off we went. So she is, even though they do their shows, recordings of their shows in Dubai, she's a California-based company.
Yeah, I would differentiate between Halogen and then Draper, which is her father, who actually, they do the Meet the Drapers show. So just kind of an additional partnership that has been established over the course of our relationship with Halogen.
Thank you, Charlie.
You have a resolution.
Oh. Do I have?
Just talk about what it is.
Yep. So as a part of our Invest AL program, we have a contract that we're seeking approval for our consultant on the Invest AL program, extending that period. You'll notice there's a two-phase approach in that contract that allows us to begin insourcing some of that work into Innovate Alabama. And so that should be in your board packet. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, so that is a services agreement with Intellectual Currency Exchange LLC. That contract is in the board's packet that has been distributed. Are there any questions about that proposed service agreement?
Just a quick question. You noticed that the first 6 months there's a certain amount and it drops off. What's the rationale?
We are currently in the process of hiring a few different folks on our team. So both on the lend side and the invest side, that's going to help insource some of that work, which represents the bulk of that.
And if you recall our application, that was a part of the strategy on the outset. We are a little bit delayed in doing it because it really was complicated getting the program off the ground. But it was always our intent to insource that program so that as we learn and grow, we've got the capability inside of the state and we don't have to go outside.
All right. Any questions, or do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to ratify the services agreement. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The services agreement is approved. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
That completes our SSBCI presentation.
Okay. Next up, we have Senator Gudger, who will introduce the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Fund.
Thank you, Ms. Cynthia, and Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. It's good seeing you again. And for everyone that came out of this weather and is inside, I'm glad we're all here and staying dry, but thank you for taking time to come see us today. I'm pleased to provide an update on the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative, launched last year to address long-standing capital access challenges for Alabama founders. To guide this work, the board approved the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative Advisory Council, which is a group of 30-plus cross-section leaders who have assessed barriers and recommended strategic solutions. Today, we bring that to the next step, establishing Innovate Alabama Capital Access Fund, a $15 million evergreen fund to access to capital for Alabama-based founders. So at this time, I'm pleased to turn the floor over to Ms. Mary Beth Grant so we can go through the details together. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here, and I think this is a perfect segue from hearing about the success and the momentum of SSBCI and John's story about trying to seek capital within the state. I think this is just, this will be another piece of that puzzle to give Alabama businesses the support and capital that they need. So walking through this new program, the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Fund, at the core, this will be a $15 million evergreen fund. Evergreen meaning that for every dollar that we invest and every return that we generate, that money will be recycled back into the fund to future support Alabama small businesses, maintaining that they're growing and scaling here within the state. The fund will be designed with a dual mandate: first, to deliver competitive returns, to sustain and grow the program over time, and second, to continue to grow Alabama's economy in the long term. So it's really about building a long-standing program where founders can start, scale, and stay within the state. The origin of this fund is also important to emphasize. This idea comes directly from recognizing that early stage capital is usually the single largest barrier for Alabama small businesses and founders. And this idea was really brought to life as Innovate Alabama convened the Capital Access Advisory Council. This group really helped to shape the strategy here through structured sessions, surveys, and we also took time to meet with and talk to states from throughout the nation to kind of hear best practices or even lessons learned from other state models as well. And their input ensured the fund is not only aligned with some of those best practices, but also directly responsive to the needs of Alabama businesses. So we looked closely at some peer states. We talked to Maine, Arkansas, Georgia, Missouri, that all have kind of public-based venture initiatives as well. And they showed us several important lessons: the power of co-investment, which we have learned also through SSBCI, the importance of having an evergreen structure, and then also mirroring both a direct and a fund-of-funds approach as well. And so we've incorporated some of those lessons into this model, building on what has worked elsewhere, but also making sure that we're tailoring it to Alabama's industries, founders, and opportunities here. Let's see. And I mentioned this a little bit before, but this is really building kind of on the success and the momentum of the SSBCI program. That program really has brought new capital tools to Alabama and demonstrated what's possible when public resources are paired with private investment. And so this will just kind of continue on that momentum, creating another step, and we'll also be able to co-invest alongside SSBCI opportunities as well, where it makes sense. So moving into a little bit about the structure of the fund, we're allocating $10 million towards direct investments. This will be invested directly into Alabama-based small businesses at the pre-seed, seed, and Series A stages. We've left the investment range pretty flexible to allow for growth over time, about $100,000 to $2 million. And ideally, we hope to invest in 15 to 25 companies within the first 3 years of the program. We'd also require a one-to-one match, so leveraging those private dollars. And then we'll also be doing a $5 million fund-to-funds approach, ideally investing between 1 and 5 venture firms that are committing to sourcing deals and funding Alabama small businesses. Moving on. So talking a little bit about why this fund will be important and really be a catalyst for the Alabama innovation economy and small businesses. Number one, we've heard over and over again the importance of early stage capital access for these small business owners, making sure that we're anchoring startups here in Alabama so they're not having to relocate to other markets, making sure that they have the talent and the resources here within the state, attracting outside capital. So we've heard, capital's coming in from California. We want to keep, bringing in capital from throughout the nation, making sure that, these founders here in Alabama are showcased and stay here, grow here, and are able to pull capital within the state. Additionally, job creation, talent retention, and growth across the Alabama priority sectors. So making sure that when we're making investments, it's in line with the Alabama Catalyst Plan and those sectors as well. And then making sure that this program will be sustainable over time through an evergreen model as well. Let's see, I already talked about that. And then just kind of a general overview of kind of governance. Obviously, board members will be here for our governing authority and reviewing annual and quarterly performance and results there. We also plan to hire a fund manager to manage this fund, and we've provided kind of a draft RFP in the board packet for review. And the idea would ideally to bring someone on board full-time within the Innovate Alabama team, but also looking at different venture firms that might be able to give us that option as well. We would also have an investment advisory committee of about 3 to 5 experts, likely pulling from that initial capital access advisory council to help guide strategy and help evaluate some of the deals there, and then also a compliance committee as well. And so here's just a brief update on how we plan to launch and implement this program over the next year or so. Ideally getting the RFP issued for the fund manager as soon as possible, getting someone onboarded by the end of the year, really diving into the investment processes, reporting, and really getting everything finalized by the end of this year. And that way, starting in January or Q1, we're able to start sourcing deals for the fund there. And I think that is all I have to share. If there's any questions that I could help answer, I'm happy to do so at this time.
Hey, Beth, one question regarding the fund of funds. When you go through the RFP process with these fund managers, is there going to be a minimum requirement about how much needs to come to Alabama? Because the way you describe it is they're kind of regional funds and making sure that it comes here and not go to Georgia or Tennessee or somewhere else.
Right. All of the allocated money to those fund of funds would have to be deployed here within the state.
Chairman Garrett?
It's just a technical question. The $15 million, where is that sitting today? Yeah.
Let me answer his question. So the 15 million, if you recall, we have saved 5 million a year. We've allocated 5 million a year from previous budget. And now that the fund is ready, we're going to take that total 15 million. So that's where it's coming from.
Thank you.
So, thank you. I would just observe, this is a significant step. This is first of its kind in Alabama. And I want to thank particularly Brittany and the advisory committee who have worked for a long time on this. I think if you go through the proposal and the outline of this program, you'll see the attention to detail, governance, making sure the funds are invested in Alabama, decision-making, avoidance of conflicts of interest, so on and so forth. So I'm impressed with the end result. But this is a significant step, and I think we should be very pleased that we're at this point. And I do want to point out, as we talk about how good it is to bring in external capital, it's equally important that we anchor the small businesses in Alabama so that the external capital doesn't dilute ownership to the point that they just leave our state. So that speaks to how strategic the thought processes are in terms of supporting Alabama businesses, but keeping them here in Alabama. So I'm glad you made that point, Mary Beth. Thank you.
And one additional reminder, this was one of the actions required from the commission report.
So I think there is a resolution that you need, Mary Beth. Can you speak to that just briefly? It approves this program.
Yes, so the resolution will be to allocate this $15 million into the Capital Access Fund, with $10 million towards the direct investments and $5 million for fund of funds.
Okay. Are there any questions, thoughts, concerns? Brittany?
Well, go ahead.
Not good? Anybody?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to request at this time the authorization from the board to move forward with that creation and the implementation of this new venture fund, that resolution.
Thank you,
Second.
Senator Gudger. We have a first, a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Yay. There's not enough woo-wooing going on here.
Okay, so next we have the Venture Studio program, again, started in concert with what you've just heard about. And Brittany, if you would give us that introduction, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia, Mr. Chairman, the board. I'm pleased to give you guys an update today about our Innovate Alabama Venture Studio and our Studio Fund. Just as a refresher, the studio is operated by Harmony Venture Labs, and they work directly with our corporate partners in the state to identify some market opportunities and then build new Alabama companies. The studio is designed to accelerate innovation and entrepreneurship in the state, with a goal of creating 10 new venture-backed studio or companies over the next 3 years. Since we launched this in March, the Venture Studio has gained significant traction already, with several corporate partners that are engaged with company ideation actively underway. To walk through the progress to date and to share updates on both the studio and the fund, I'm going to turn it back to Mary Beth Grant, our program director for Innovate Alabama.
Perfect. All right. So just a brief update on the Venture Studio and the fund as well. So this spring, the studio really moved from setup into real momentum. So far, the studio has engaged with 5 corporate partners to date: Regions Bank, Encompass Health, Markstein, Tenant Partners, and also Lakeshore Foundation. They've had several innovation cycles that are active. And with Regions, right now, Regions is in the design and decide phase. So they have their top business idea ready in front of them, getting those final tweaks. And so the idea is that that new business concept will fully launch in the next quarter, so by the end of the year. Outreach about the studio has also been really strong. Harmony Venture Labs was featured on the Innovation Storytellers podcast and had over 25,000 listeners to that. We also were at Sloss Tech, so that's a picture of myself and Shagan on the panel at Sloss Tech, kind of bringing a visible presence to the studio. And we also had several launch press releases, I think over 10 different publications this summer about the Venture Studio model. On the capital side, the board approved the fund back in June. So over the last 3 months, we've been working on the legal setup. The LP materials have been finalized, and I'm pleased to share that the fund will officially launch by the end of September. So we'll be able to make that investment by the end of the month, and then we'll be able to begin deploying that capital alongside the companies that are coming out of the studio. So really just kind of getting started in the first 6 months. We've got a couple of corporate partners engaged. They're also actively looking for other corporate partners to work with. So if you have any businesses in mind that might be a good fit, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to coordinate with the Harmony Venture Labs team. And that concludes my update if there's any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. And I think to that point, Dr. Chambers, I mean, I think the significance of this is leveraging corporate partners inside the state to identify commercial opportunity for investment. So here again, taking a small amount of leveraged capital, by the state to leverage that with external corporate partners around the state to create small businesses that have market opportunities. So I think this is a great concept. I think it'd be interesting to see how it develops and then how we can replicate that around the state once we have proof of concept. So thank you.
If I could just notice that a bit, what is different about this program is there is no startup yet. That's why it's different than all the other programs. So in this program, you're actually going to a corporation who has a problem and trying to figure out how to create a company startup to solve that problem.
It's going to be fascinating. I'm anxious to see it continue to develop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth and Brittany. Next up, we will have the commercialization pilot. This is a new pilot, again, keeping with the theme of trying to ensure that cohesive journey of businesses throughout the state of Alabama and their life cycle. So next up, we will hear from Dave King, who will introduce the commercialization pilot.
Thank you, Cynthia, Chairman and Board. So today, we want to introduce and propose a commercialization pilot program. When you think about innovation that happens, the larger a company gets, typically the harder it is to innovate. So what we're really wanting to do here is to partner some small companies that do know how to innovate with some technologies that they're developing with some of the larger corporations to solve their problems. And this is a real-world setting kind of thing, and so trying to get them paired up is what we're trying to do here. This will de-risk innovation and accelerate commercialization. That program is called Pilot AL, and it has the potential to create some new pathways for those startups to win new customers and maybe monetize some of the things that they've been working on. So I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Jackson Pruitt from the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama, who will share the details.
Thank you, Dave, and good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Jackson Pruitt. I'm new to the team at EDPA, 5 months in, and really taking the legacy that Brittany Somerville, one of your fellow board members, started with Birmingham Bound, which was focused on recruiting tech companies just to Birmingham, now statewide. So EDPA has had an opportunity now to bring that in-house, take advantage of our resources we have in business recruitment and innovation, and really scale it across Alabama to all of our ecosystems, which we're very pleased and happy to do. As was mentioned, my role is recruiting tech companies to Alabama and helping them grow and scale, and really taking the tools that you all have created at Innovate Alabama and connecting startups to those resources. I think one of the main ways we can do that is helping these growth stage startups establish partnerships with these corporate existing companies that we have in Alabama. Corporate innovation, corporate pilots for startup, I think are really a missing piece to our ecosystem right now, and that's what we're here to address with this new conceptual program. So we've worked on a new program that will connect Alabama corporations with vetted growth stage startups called Pilot AL. And so we'd like to work with existing Alabama companies to still identify those pain points and problems, but then go out and find startups around the country who are already solving those problems. So a little different than what the venture studio model is. These are startups that have already been formulated out there around the country that we're trying to bring to Alabama and connect them with our existing Alabama companies and our ecosystem. In doing so, we help these startup companies scale, but we also can compel our existing Alabama companies to continue to innovate, and that's really helping them stay competitive. So hopefully this new program will be funded by Innovate Alabama today and will be run by EDPA, which takes advantage of our existing network of Alabama companies who fund us. So the main thing we're doing here, the main purpose, we're solving two big problems. Number one, we're bridging the valley of death for startups, which is that distance between product development and customer adoption. But we're also, number two, helping reduce risk for some of Alabama's existing companies who may have never worked with a startup before. So we're really helping connect those two things, and in doing so, hopefully recruiting new startups and founders to Alabama and exposing them to the great things we have here. So in doing so, we have corporate innovation capacity strengthened, which is really big. We need more existing Alabama companies working with startups. That is critical to helping our founders that are here in the state and those that we are actively recruiting grow and scale. But also the long-term goal is to have new customers, new contracts, and follow-on investment that really help these companies scale. So this program on the startup side is going to be specifically targeted to growth stage companies, so those that are a little bit beyond venture phase or seed funding stage. They already have a product, they're ready to go secure those first few customers, and that's what we're trying to help match. So these companies would be those that have already graduated from an accelerator or have already raised $1 million in venture capital, and again, a little further downstream from the venture studio approach. This is important. We are also focusing on the catalyst verticals, those segments of our economy that we have existing customer base. So think bioscience, forestry and wood products, agriculture and food, strength sectors where Alabama has existing strengths, and we have multiple customers for these startups that we're trying to grow. So we've had already some really promising conversations with existing Alabama companies that want to work with startups. We've got 3 that have already committed that they're willing to host these types of pilots. Those companies will have to do a lot of work on their end. They're going to have to ensure success of these pilots. So they're going to have to document their in-kind contributions. They're going to have to assign a champion in the company to ensure it's successful. And so it's a really great model that I think can pay dividends for our ecosystem. And this is a little just to sort of show you the process. We're starting at the corporations to identify those pain points. We've actually had an opportunity to sit down with Shagan and his team to talk about ways we can collaborate there to identify joint pain points and funnel opportunities back and forth to each other. So we find the pain point in an existing Alabama company, and then we go find a startup somewhere in the country that wants to be in Alabama, that wants to take advantage of our ecosystem and what we're building here. We would then execute a joint scope of work between the corporation and the startup. These, in this approach, it's going to be just a first phase that we're proposing today. So these would be 6 months, sort of short-term engagements. We've budgeted around $400,000 in our budget here to pay for these pilots. And then in doing so, we're also actively helping recruit these companies and helping them scale. So the long-term goal post the pilot is that they are getting a big customer in Alabama, they're growing their company, they're taking advantage of our resources that we're able to offer, and positioning ourselves as a great place to scale. So again, the first phase we're proposing is just for October through July of next year. We want to secure at minimum 3 pilots with this funding. If successful, we'd love to come back next year and talk about the outcomes we've achieved and potential additional funding that, again, adds another tool to our belt in our ability to help companies scale. So these are really a new piece of our ecosystem that we're excited about. And really all this is making Alabama one of the best places in the country for startups to secure their first customer. And I think this tool helps bring existing Alabama corporations and our startup ecosystem together in a really dynamic way. The last thing I'll mention, as a native of Senator Gudger's home district in Holly Pond and Coleman County, this has a great opportunity to have rural impact, because a lot of these corporations that we're going to be targeting in these verticals are industrial companies that are scattered across all of Alabama's 67 counties. And so our ability to connect manufacturers in rural Alabama with growth stage startups is really powerful, and I think can really scale opportunity across rural Alabama, which is something exciting. So happy to answer questions about the proposal and what we're trying to achieve here. But again, a great tool that I think brings together the public and private sector to induce innovation and really provide another piece to our strategy.
Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Jackson, good presentation. Thank you. Go Broncos.
That's right.
Hey, buddy. I think that's important for us to continue to talk about rural Alabama, though. Obviously, the legislature is really focusing on the rural roadmap, what is happening throughout the whole state, not just one area. It's not really urban versus the rural, but if it is rural, what type of rural is it? And then at the same time, how does it affect all the different entities that are in rural Alabama, whether that's healthcare, agribusiness, small business, economic development, and so on and so on. I think that this board, this Innovate Alabama Commission, at the same time, people look at us at times and says, it's just for tech, and that's all they think of. And it's very, very important that we continue to roll out. This is rural Alabama that's being helped just as much as it is urban. And so I just thank you for saying that, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on the rural side of that.
Thank you, Jackson, and thank you for your comments also, Mr. Pro Tem. Brittany?
What part of the budget is this coming out of?
If approved, it'll come out of the unencumbered special projects.
Okay. And then one thing that was mentioned in the proposal that I just want to reemphasize, just put a little bit more attention on, is the solution may not always be existing in Alabama today. it might be that the company in Alabama has the problem. Jackson and his team then go find a company, I almost said Oklahoma, but I'm mad at them right now.
Me too.
We all know why. In another state who has a solution, Jackson and his team will then work with that company to solve the problem in Alabama. And by getting the funding and all the help and the resources that they'll get, a part of that will be relocating here. Then there's financial assistance with that company to help hire people here. And that's a huge part of this pilot Alabama program that I'm incredibly excited about. A lot more jobs and a lot more companies realizing what it's like to build and grow an innovative company here. So good job.
Thank you, Brittany. And thank you, Jackson. Are there any other questions or comments before we ask to entertain a motion to approve the Phase 1 pilot?
Mr. Chairman, if I may add just one thing I noted in the write-up on this program. There's an overt statement that if a startup match cannot be found, that there will be a collaboration with Harmony Venture Labs and the Venture Studio. I think that really speaks to the DNA of our mission and to our culture as an organization and what we've attempted to do in deduplicating efforts, but also bridging the gap. So I'm really grateful to see that. I think that's a huge contribution.
Very well said. Thank you.
About making those connections, so.
All right, any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the Phase 1 of the Commercial Pilots Program?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along, it's time for the Silver Sitter update. And Mr. Beelan, if you would give us that intro.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mr. Chairman, we're still on a great trajectory with the oldest of the innovative Alabama programs. Just one.
We take that
Supplemental
personally,
grants for recipients of federal SBIR, STTR grants. Despite changes and uncertainty at the federal level causing concern to companies in these fields, Innovate Alabama has played a pivotal role in providing additional funding for those who have received federal funding. We are continuing our marketing efforts to out-of-state recipients, working to draw them to Alabama, while also supporting those companies already growing in the state. You may be aware that at the federal level, the SBIR STTR program is up for reauthorization again this year. While there is discussion around instituting caps on this program and the introduction of leads for commercialization, we do expect bipartisan support to authorize the program again at the federal level. Dr. Michael Chambers, who serves on this board and as Chief Economic Development Officer and Associate Vice President of Research at the University of South Alabama, is going to give a bit more detail, but we continue to be pleased with the results of the program and its support of Alabama entrepreneurs. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Chambers to present the update.
Thanks, Rich. It's a pleasure to be in Huntsville. And before I launch into some really details about metrics of the program, you're really blessed to have such effective and efficient leadership, elected officials like are sitting here and in the crowd. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the leadership that you've had over the years, really decades, that's not necessarily elected, people like Chip Cherry with the Chamber of Commerce. He will tell you that for every 10 projects that get approved, he's had to sit through probably 3,000 meetings. Or people like Dick Reeves, who's kind of the dean of the angel community here in Huntsville. Or you have a great CEO cadre of people like Peggy Salmon, who I think is still back there, who I've come to know, all of them, over the years. So you're very lucky in that respect. And before I forget, as important as it is to tell us how grateful you may be for getting one of these grants, it's even more important for you to write and tell your own legislators, wherever they may be, how important this is, because that's what will keep the program going. So we're 3 years into this program already. This summer marked the latest round. We had 13 companies that were approved for a total of $2.2 million. That raised the total for this year to $5.6 million, and we had companies from Auburn, Huntsville, Birmingham, and Tuscaloosa. I will tell you it's fitting that we're in Huntsville because no city takes more advantage of this program than the city of Huntsville. So we really appreciate your interest. This is the 7th round of this funding that we have done. We have now impacted or funded 92 different companies with 125 grants totaling just slightly under $20 million. So those companies represent more than 2,000 employees in Alabama. So when we talk about impact, this program has really done a great job. So we had a wrinkle over the last 2 times. We had live pitches for the first time. So you can imagine how challenging that would be. And I credit our CEO, Cynthia Crutchfield, with that idea. I think Dave King and the EDPA team, and of course Cynthia as well, we were a little worried about that idea because in 15 to 20 minute segments, virtually you go from engineering for lunar modules to how to improve mRNA vaccines. So you really have to be on your toes to keep up. But we've heard about 20 individual companies pitch their ideas, and it really was a brilliant suggestion by our CEO, because what we were able to do is see the people who were presenting the ideas, ask specific questions, because many times the applications aren't clear. Whether we have a question about the technology or whether there are questions about eligibility, this was really a great idea because it gave us the ability to hone in immediately and find the answer. So we're very grateful for that suggestion. Now you may be wondering, well, they present, we give them money, and we never hear from them again. We get reports, as many of you know, every 6 months from these companies to make sure they're spending the money the way they should be spending it, but also that they are hitting the milestones that are expected. But what we also learn is the impact of that money. So we've had some companies that have actually leveraged those funds to acquire other units, hire highly specialized employees, create new partnerships with universities. So the impact is diverse and widespread. Now, as Rich mentioned, this is not what I would call the glory period of time for federal grant funding. As many of you know in the crowd, there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty, and we really, I live that because I work with a university, and I know how principal investigators, PIs, faculty members, how troubled they are. But the flip side of that is this program has been a godsend to many people, because as those federal funding opportunities have been a little more uncertain, if not vastly uncertain, this program allows those who have already received an SBIR, STTR, to benefit with the supplemental funding. But we're exploring other possibilities of changing the program. Most of them would require legislative changes to the statute. But some of those, for example, would be expanding the program beyond SBIR, STTR. So I don't think anyone at the table wants you to get too overly excited about that, because that would probably be a long haul. But we're interested in looking at that. And in addition, one of the missions is not just to support Alabama companies, but as many people have said, is to attract other companies outside the state. That's difficult to do. You can imagine a young company picking up, moving all their executives to meet the legislative requirements. But we're looking at that as well to see how that might be improved. So the next round of applications, if you're eligible, will open early next year, and the eligibility requirements will be on the Alabama website. So if you're eligible or you have colleagues who might be eligible with their companies, please point them our way. And then the most important thing I have to say today is to introduce you to a young, dynamic CEO named Ms. Virginia Overstreet, who is the CEO of Zeus Research, who was in the last round of funding and had another round that was successful in 2023. But this last summer round was the first time we actually got to see her in person and talk to her. And I'd love for her to come forward and share a little bit about her company and how this has impacted her. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak here, and thank you so much for the opportunity to receive additional funding. I'm Virginia Overstreet. I'm the CEO of Zeus Research and Technology. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our company, the problem that we are trying to solve, and why the grant is going to make such an impact for Zeus, and already has. So we were founded in 2018. I'm a co-founder. Me and my business partner were former Army civilians, and we left the government to start Zeus to focus on developing technology to meet problems warfighters were having. So we are a lean and agile company. We are 14 employees, highly technical. Almost the entire staff has at least a master's degree. And so we left to start a company that focuses on developing GPS-denied navigation solutions. So why is that important? Since the advent of GPS, almost every single defense platform depends on it. It provides time and it provides position to aircraft, missiles, UASs, dismounted soldiers. And it's a great solution. It's highly accurate and extremely cheap, but it's easily jammed and taken away. And so you might think, how easily can it be jammed? Well, the GPS signal coming from space to your cell phone is extremely weak, and it takes maybe about a $10 piece of equipment about the size of this, and I could take out everyone's GPS service in this room. Our adversaries can put much higher powered GPS receivers on aircraft, vehicles. Men wear backpacks with GPS jammers, and it will take out GPS entire regions. And so us navigation nerds always knew this was a possibility and a problem for the Department of Defense. But it really came to light with with this conflict in Ukraine. So in Ukraine, they are losing about 10,000 drones a month, simply due to very low-cost GPS jamming. And it's making weapons that were once effective very ineffective, including a lot of US-provided systems, and it's revealing some vulnerabilities. And you can go online to a website called gpsjam.com and look at reported jamming around the world as late as yesterday. And so that map's kind of hard to see. Russia's completely jammed, Finland's very jammed, and there's some capital cities in the Middle East they're jamming, possibly to protect their locations. So it's a real problem that we're trying to solve, and if GPS is jammed, missions fail, simply as that. So that's the problem that we're trying to solve. We got an we've gotten several SBIRs. The last one that we proposed was to provide a system that will bolt onto UAS systems that will strengthen the GPS signal by accessing a military-only GPS signal, and to use something called vision-based navigation. But what I really want to speak on is how companies like Zeus use the Innovate grant. So the valley of death has already been mentioned today. It's very real for companies like us. We're innovators. We live on the S&T side, on that far left of development, and we come up with great ideas. Our government POCs or cyber POCs come up with great ideas, and we develop technology and demonstrate it. So that technology is now too advanced for early research and development funds, but it's not a product, and it's not mature enough for a customer to pick it up. So that is how we use Innovate grants. We're very excited to have it. And that's a picture of some of our hardware. We just delivered our first unit to BAE. We are delivering 15 units to MIT Lincoln Labs for them to experiment with, and this grant will dedicate an engineer to making this product a reality. So I just wanted to say thank you again, and you guys are enabling our mission to operate anywhere, regardless of GPS. Thank you so much.
We just want to thank you for not demonstrating how that works.
Yes. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Rich and Dr. Chambers, for that summary. Appreciate that. And I would note, I guess, if there's bipartisan support for renewal, then that's truly a unicorn program. Wouldn't that be the correct parlance today? So thanks, everybody, for the update. Cynthia?
Okay, next up is the tax credit program, and it
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the CEO. I have the pleasure of introducing the status of the Innovate Alabama Tax Credit Program. Since its launch, the tax credit program has gained strong momentum, broadening its reach and impact across Alabama. The program has grown into a highly competitive initiative, awarding more than $62 million to 23 EDOs. For the second round, we are requesting board approval for $12,472,293 in tax credits. We're also pleased to welcome 4 new economic development organization EDOs into the program alongside 10 project recommendations for approval. The newly designated EDOs are Industrial Development Board of the City of Auburn, DeKalb County Economic Development Authority, Main Street Leads, One East Alabama. These are new partners who will play a key role in strengthening Alabama's innovation ecosystem and broadening the program benefits to more communities across the state of Alabama. And without further ado, I'll turn the floor over to Kelly McNair to present these applications.
Thank you all for your continued support of the tax credit program, and thank you for the introduction, Representative Daniels. Over this past year, there has been a tremendous effort in automating this program, which has streamlined the application and reporting process. I look forward to showing you this in the near future, as it's going to provide you with real-time updates to you, the board members, the EDOs, as well as enhancing the collaboration within the Innovate Alabama team. This round, we received 22 EDO designation applications and 14 project applications. We're recommending approval for 10 of those projects, which is representing a wide range of sectors here that are in alignment with the catalyst sectors, ranging from advanced manufacturing, biotechnology, all the way down to med tech. We are really excited about the program that progress that this program is making across the state. This updated map highlights the counties the program has reached so far. All of the counties that are in gray, highlighted in gray, are existing EDOs, and then the 4 that Representative Daniels mentioned is expanded into 13 additional counties, with 5 of them being rural areas. So we're really excited about that, and we love the collaboration that we're seeing with One East, which is representing 9 different counties. All right. In essence of time, I'm going to go ahead and skip to approvals and go ahead and get started. The first one that I'm going to provide you just a brief overview, fairly quick, and then you're going to have a more detailed summary in your board packet, but feel free to ask any questions if you have any. First off, we are going to talk about Zeitgeist Foundation. They are a LEO in Birmingham requesting $1 million to support their 14-week accelerator. They're going to be doing this in Jefferson, Shelby, and Macon counties. We're asking approval of $655,000 for this organization.
Kelly, would you like for us to take these up one at a time or wait till the end and see if the board would like to take them up as a slide?
Whatever works best for y'all. It'll probably move quicker if we do it all now.
Mr. Chairman, I request a slate if that's okay.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Next up, we have Alabama Artificial Intelligence Center of Excellence. This is a CEDO requesting $670,000 to launch their ACE labs to expand AI deep learning skills. It's going to be anchored in Auburn and delivered through a technology accelerator model. We're asking approval for $670,000 for this organization. Next up, we have Innovation Portal. They're an existing EDO in Mobile requesting $1,439,157 to expand their Industry 4.0 and entrepreneurship program. We're asking for approval of $283,325 for this organization.
Mr. Chairman, would you like recusals now or at the end of the slate?
Let's take them at the end. But please, if you're going to need to recuse, note that and we'll take those up at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Opportunity Alabama. They're a CEDO in Birmingham requesting $2,500,000 in partnership with the Montgomery Tech Lab and Treble One, launching an 8-week defense tech accelerator. They're asking approval for $1,800,000. Next up, we have Opportunity Alabama. They have a second project. They are in Birmingham requesting $1,025,000 to support 5 to 7 biomanufacturing startups to expand infrastructure, attract investment, and create jobs in low-income communities. We're asking approval for $1,025,000 for this organization. Next up is one of our new entrants, One East Alabama. They're in Anniston requesting $200,000 to create Business Development and Intelligence Center with JSU to support defense-related companies and establish an innovation hub in East Alabama. We're asking for the full approval amount of $200,000 for this organization. Next up, we have Rev Birmingham. They are an existing Lido in Birmingham requesting $748,309 to continue attracting and supporting 15 to 20 innovative companies in the Switch District, targeting industries in IT, engineering, and biotech. We are asking approval for $748,309. Next up, we have Hardware Park. They're in Birmingham requesting $2,204,000 to expand their MedTech device startup program into a center offering prototyping, investor connections, and commercialization support. We are asking for the full amount of $2,240,000 for this organization. Next up, we have Bronze Valley Corporation, located in Birmingham, requesting $2,991,000 to expand programs supporting under-resourced founders, including BV Investment Accelerator, their HBCU Innovators Bootcamp, and a new partnership with the Capital Collective to close the venture capital gaps. We are asking approval for $2,500,658 for this organization. And last but not least, we have Prosper Foundation in Birmingham requesting $1,455,568 to expand their Health Tech Accelerator initiative in partnership with Generator, including 2 G-Beta cohorts and 1 investment accelerator. We are asking for approval of $1,350,000 for this organization.
And Kelly, I just want to remind the board, but also clarify for the audience, these are economic development organizations, EDOs. They have gone and raised pledges from external taxpayers, corporations, donors to contribute these funds, and they're now applying for the tax credit that those donors would enjoy. So these funds are waiting for this approval. These are not state funds that are retained inside of Innovate Alabama's capital budget, if you will. So just want to, this is the Growing Alabama program that used to be administered by the Department of Commerce, transferred over to Innovate Alabama, given the subject matter. So just a reminder for the board, but also clarification that these funds have been pledged by taxpayers. And these are the applications that have been approved or are being proposed to be approved.
Yes.
If anybody needs to recuse from any one of these, will they please indicate by.
Yes, sir. I need to recuse as Innovation Portal.
Okay, let's make sure we capture this in the minutes. Innovation Portal.
Same here.
Okay, Innovation Portal.
Rev Birmingham.
Okay.
I need to recuse myself from both Rev Birmingham and Prosper Foundation.
And Prosper, okay. So we have.
Rev Birmingham.
Okay, so we have recusals on Innovation Portal, Rev, and Prosper. Let's take those up one at a time so that we can honor the recusals in those votes, and then we'll take the remainders up as a slate. Any questions? All right, so let's take Innovation Portal up first for consideration. We know we have 2 recusals that have been noted in the minutes. For all other members, can we receive a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, I'm going to talk loud. So Innovation Portal has been approved, but the recusals have been noted. We'll move to Rev Birmingham, Inc. We have a recusal. It's been noted. Do we hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Abe, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The Rev Birmingham proposal has been approved with the recusal noted. We'll move to Prosper. Is that Prosper Foundation? And that recusal was
Rich.
Rich. So Mr. Beelan is recused from the Prosper. Do we hear a motion? Have a motion and a second?
Second.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The Prosper application has been approved with the recusal noted. I'll entertain a motion to approve all remaining applications unless somebody would like to pause and ask questions about anyone or has a concern about anyone of the remainders.
So moved.
We have a motion for approval. And a second.
I do have a question, though.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, but a question by Chairman
Okay,
Garrett.
so just question, this is just general, so I see like Main Street Leads is listed as a new, but I don't see any proposal for them. What is their, why are they on this list?
So the step of the process is you first apply to be an EDO, and then you can submit an application. They have been approved as an EDO, but they have not submitted a project application yet. So most likely their plan will be to submit one at the beginning of 2026.
So not to pick on my neighbor, because Leeds is my neighboring community, but the term Main Street in the legislature has a connotation to it. But this isn't, when this is not indicative of what their projects are going to be, or is it?
No. So we don't know anything about their project at this time. That is basically just based on statutorily if they are in alignment with what our requirements are.
Yeah, I mean, for example, if this were like a downtown, we're going to do sidewalks and things like that, I think there'd be some, yeah, like streetscape. So that's not what you don't.
That's not what this program funds. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
And that would not be an eligible use of the tax
Right,
credit
that's
either.
right.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I understand the point of your question, Chairman Garrett, and appreciate that clarification. And why don't we make sure when that project proposal comes in that the board is aware of the subject matter as that becomes clear.
Absolutely.
So that those questions can be answered. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The remaining applications have been approved.
Great, thank you. This concludes the tax credit program update. I would like to introduce you now to David Mallett. He's with Space Factory. He is a recipient of the tax credit program. He went through one of the accelerators, and then he is currently currently, sorry, I'm trying to read Cynthia's lips. Caught up. He's currently a Silver Center applicant, so we're excited to have him here to hopefully be part of 2 of our programs.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Is it green is forward? No? No? Oh, I'll just talk if you don't mind. Okay. So Space Factory specializes in frontier engineering. So we bring advanced manufacturing to places where conventional tools and equipment cannot go. So for example, from the vacuum of space to the fog of war, from the dusty surface of the moon to rural roads in Alabama. These are the places that you will find Space Factory. So we do this by leveraging robotics, autonomy, and local resources. So think about it like pioneering in the old days, where you could only build with the resources you found on the land, but modernized with robotics. Okay? And some examples of the projects that we're working on, we partnered with Kennedy Space Center, NASA Kennedy Space Center, to 3D print and vacuum. We received a phase 2 STTR with NASA to explore building lunar roads, which is the technology we'd actually like to pivot to building in Alabama with your support. And I was delighted, I found out 2 days ago that kind of as a result of our participation in the CRP Defense Tech Accelerator, which you generously supported, we were awarded a directive phase 2 SBIR with the Air Force, which was a huge breakthrough for us. Bit of our background, we were working out of New York City for about 4 years. My kids graduated from college, and so I finally had the opportunity to place the company where it really wanted to be. And for me, that was Huntsville. Because of NASA, but also because of the defense community, because of the manufacturing community, because of the great schools here. It was still a very difficult transition to move from NASA and space to terrestrial applications. I think that's really where the CRP Defense Tech Accelerator helped us, learning to speak the language of the Department of Defense, learning to just navigate that huge organization, and it paid off. And the goal was that we would either get VC funding or an AFWERX Directive Phase 2, and very happy we landed the latter. So that's a $1.25 million award, 15 months. We'll be developing an autonomous rover for the flight line, Air Force runways. Think of our R2-D2, sort of a utility robot helping out on a flight line. And we'll be doubling the size of our company from that award, and a large part thanks to the Chamber and to the Defense Tech Accelerator, and for your support of that program. Thank you.
Love those stories. Okay, so we are going to move right along. We are getting close to time. We have the talent update, and we're going to ask Secretary Reed if you would please do the introduction.
Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate the opportunity to be recognized for this. Mr. Chairman, thank you and the board. Innovate Alabama is preparing students to excel in fast-growing industries. We all know that. The idea of retention is a big workforce issue, which is a huge topic for me these days. Making sure that we have Alabama's workers well-trained and that they stay here. They receive the world-class education that we offer in the state of Alabama, but they have an opportunity, we have an opportunity to retain them here. The Talent Pilot Program, these initiatives have been highlights to strengthen Alabama's talent pipeline and the opportunity in key growth segments to be able to move these programs forward, being able to further those ideas and being able to make that be an ongoing benefit that can be touted in the recruitment of industries to Alabama, that we talk about our ability to retain the best talent in the world, is something that is certainly important to all of us and important to the mission of Innovate Alabama. So Shannon Allen has all the details of how we're doing this and how we're making great progress. So Shannon, you have the floor. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Secretary Reed. For the sake of time, I'm going to fly through all the details as quickly as I can. But yeah, really excited about the progress that we're making from a talent retention and attraction standpoint. I want to kind of zoom in on the Talent Pilot Program. So we recently, through our pilot program round, we formalized that round. I know we had been doing talent pilot programs, but we really formalized it and opened up a formal application around that to allow small business owners to really sit in the driver's seat as far as innovation around talent development. And so we recently awarded right over $1 million across 5 small businesses, really pioneering innovative talent solutions in both rural and urban areas, but with the specific focus on rural areas. And so quickly, I'm going to tell you about those 5. So the first was RK Allen Oil Company. They are doing a program called Fueling the Future, which is really based around smart logistics, IoT, and AI fleet management. And then we have CCB Consulting, and RK Allen Oil is based in Talladega, Alabama. CCB Consulting, based in Northport, Alabama, is launching CCB Edge, which is based around STEM instruction, as well as robotics and building robotics teams. We have Black Diamond Ranch, which is based in York, Alabama, running a program called Farming in the Future, which is focused on precision agriculture, food processing, and entrepreneurship. And then we have Startup Partners, which is based in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a STEM commercialization program focused on student innovators and early stage STEM entrepreneurship. And then last but certainly not least, our host today, Outpost, is collaborating with the Cybersecurity School of Technology and Engineering on their capstone project for a project on hands-on engineering and cybersecurity challenges. And so before I bring up Lindsay, I want to say, looking ahead, we really are looking across the state at regional collaboration to really identify the most pressing talent challenges that we have so that in the future, as we continue this program, we can make even more targeted funding towards those specific problems and challenges. And so speaking of pilot programs, I'd like to bring up Lindsay Ferguson, who is with the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber Foundation, to talk about a pilot program and a recent engagement that we did.
I mean, I guess we're cheering for talent, so I think I'm all about that. Thank you all for having us, and thanks Shannon for the opportunity to share a little bit about our military talent attraction program. We did have the opportunity to just host this program here a few weeks ago, and so we had a Huntsville fly-in where we brought 17 transitioning service members and military veterans, along with 5 spouses from across the country. They represented almost all of our service branches. So we had Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and Navy individuals here, and had the opportunity to have them in Huntsville for 3 days. Keep in mind, these candidates were competitively selected from an applicant pool of just over 60 individuals, and that was done by our partners in this work, Next Up. Next Up is a nonprofit that specifically serves transitioning enlisted talent, and that has been a key area of focus for us in terms of talent attraction here into the Huntsville community, and we couldn't have done this work without them. In advance of the event and after, we surveyed so that we could understand perceptions both of Huntsville and of Alabama. We wanted to understand perception related to career opportunities, related to raising a family, quality of life, and all of those things. So we put those surveys out on a scale of 1 to 5 and looked across the board. And when we got those pre-surveys back, those responses, both for Alabama and for Huntsville on average, ranged between 2.3 to 2.6. Cynthia made the face. It's exactly how I felt. Like not so good in terms of what we were seeing, but certainly an opportunity for us to look at what that would be. So we brought those individuals here. They spent 2.5 days with us in Huntsville. We connected them in advance with individuals from our community called our Guiding Stars. They had a chance to have a welcome reception where they met with community partners and employers and those Guiding Stars that talked about the quality of life here. And then over the next 2 days, they heard from local leaders, they toured key industries, and they even received professional headshots, which were those pictures that you saw on that first slide. A highlight, obviously, was an employer round-robin session where all of those candidates met with 14 employers from our community in really a speed dating session. They spent 6 minutes with each company. And while that wasn't a lot of time, all of our employers reported they had meaningful conversations, and many of them are already following up with those individuals as well. So what did the post-survey look like? Because the pre-survey didn't look so good. So we had we had a 100% interest in coming to Huntsville when they left. We also had every one of the candidates that rated their experience a 5 out of 5 for the time that they spent here with us. And the perceptions of both Alabama and Huntsville increased significantly with an average increase of 2.14 points. So that range jumped from where it started from 4.4 to 4.8 in terms of what we were looking at for that. And I think to the work that Shannon and all of you are doing and we're trying to do as well, it just validates the importance of exposing high quality talent to what's really happening in our region and in our community. Our employers were also enthusiastic. 11 of those candidates are actively in interviews right now, just a few weeks after that had happened. And we'll have the opportunity to do one more fly-in in 2026 in the spring. So we're looking forward, hopefully, to having some of those candidates already here as our neighbors in Huntsville, but also as ambassadors to what's happening here within their peer groups and welcoming some additional folks as well. I know we're short on time, but I want to leave you with 3 quick quotes from our candidates that came. And these were actually 3 candidates who had some of the lowest perceptions before they came. The first is Kane, a Marine Corps veteran, who said going there in person revealed things that cannot be researched otherwise: the feel of the city, how people act, the smell of the air, and the energy. Joshua is a U.S. Army veteran. He said, unlike other events where it feels like it's just a check-off-the-box activity with no real outcomes, this was geared towards real outcomes for veterans. And Michael is an Army soldier who will transition from active duty in January of 2026. And he said, this event has taken Huntsville from one of my cities being considered to my #1 job focus area. So thank you all for the partnership and for the opportunity to make that impact. Back to you.
And that concludes our updates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Shannon. So I'm going to take some of you back that served on the commission that started Innovate Alabama at the very beginning. When we were engaged there, we had two subcommittees. We were supported by a council that gave us wise advice. One of the members that supported my subcommittee, the chairman and I both had a subcommittee, was Bill Smith. Now, Bill Smith is the founder of Shipped, of which has been an unbelievably successful Alabamian as an entrepreneur. I can remember Bill saying in one of our early meetings, as this commission was even starting to determine what is Innovate Alabama even going to be, okay? He said, as I recruit, he had then transitioned to a new business that's based in Birmingham called Landings, I think is the correct name. He said, if I can ever get a prospective employee to put their feet on the ground in Alabama, I've got them. So these kinds of ideas and programs, I mean, really are where the rubber meets the road in being able to take the absolute best of who we are and allow other people to be able to see and understand that. And being able to promote that as an initiative of what we're doing with Innovate, I think just adds so much to what our mission is in trying to attract and retain the absolute best people. I mean, we're the best in Alabama. And those folks that want to throw in and be with us, man, we want them. So this is a great presentation. Thank you both.
Any comments? Okay, thank you very much for that. Our final presentation today will be Lifestyle and Recreation, and Abe Harper, if you will give us the intro.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam CEO, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the Huntsville community for hosting us today. And I want to also apologize, as it appears that Dr. Chambers or myself may have packed our pet thunderstorm and brought it with us from the coast up here. So as we introduce Lifestyle and Recreation. Well, since our last meeting, Lifestyle and Recreation team has been busy, and you've already heard about the activation with Alabama HQ at SLOSTEC. Alongside of that, there was a CCAL activation to compound that effort and the impact. Additionally, we returned to New York's Fast Company Innovation Festival Showcase to remind people why Alabama and to show them what they can accomplish if they come to Alabama and to keep the message alive about our lifestyle and outdoor recreation. So T.C. McLemore is going to join us and give some more updates alongside of a founder and grant recipient, Tennessee Riverline. So T.C., take it away.
Thank you, Abe. Pleasure to be here with y'all today. I was going to say this is the outdoor portion of the meeting. You know, we can all take it outside. And, no, I'm really happy that it's my job to really package up all of the great things that Alabama has to offer small businesses and founders and take that on the road, both in-state and out-of-state. As Abe mentioned, we had a Seek Alabama activation at SLOSTEC, and we took attendees on a run around the Red Rock Trail system in downtown Birmingham. And whether we're doing an activation in-state or out-of-state, my goal is to get attendees to say, I had no clue this was in Alabama. And so we had people who are based in Birmingham who had no clue that that trail system was there. And then, you know, we went on the road to New York, as Abe mentioned last week, and I'll get into that in a second. And again, we hear, I had no clue that this was in Alabama. But a lot of that is due in part to you know, what partners are doing, investing in infrastructure and quality outdoor rec infrastructure across the state. So we're not just marketing it, we're investing in it as well. So we got to go to New York last week for the second time to Fast Company's Innovation Festival. As y'all may remember, this is such a great concentration of founders, of venture capitalists, of other sort of geographies of innovation ecosystems across the country. And it's such a differentiator to show up and see other states and other markets activate and sort of offer their version of SSBCI or their version of supplemental grants. But we actually can tell you and show you what it's like to live here. And so really stopping at the Seek Alabama and Innovate Alabama activation, folks actually take away what it might be like to live here. And they get to go to the beach on Dauphin Island or visit our outdoor rec asset map and just see the density and variety of the outdoor recreation lifestyle that you can have here. Also, Fast Company's been such a great platform for Alabama founders. This year we took Dr. Ben Fulmer. I think most of y'all met him at our legislative day in Montgomery. He's developing a cauterizing tool for surgery. He's a neurosurgeon by day, a founder by night. And his story is just so remarkable and really highlighting that there is no typical path to starting a business in Alabama, that you can have an idea and all the resources that are necessary to take that to market are here in our state. And Kathleen Koch of Fast Company was such a great interviewer. She actually spent 5 years of her childhood here. Her father was a NASA engineer. So she was so incredibly enthusiastic. So we have the benefit of folks in the room hearing that story, but we also get the added benefit of getting that content out on their channels in the future. One thing really quickly from SLOSTEC I failed to mention, that picture of Mary Beth's conversation with Shagan, that was facilitated by Fast Company. They came to Alabama to facilitate that conversation about the Venture Studio. And so when it showed up on their website later that month, it's accompanied by Seek Alabama ads, banner ads on the side. So here's this really meaty, innovative article about what we're doing to support venture in the state. And then here's also the lifestyle component of what it might actually be like to live here. Next month, we're going to the Inc. 5000 conference in Phoenix. This is such a great concentration of founders. So the Inc. 5000 is the fastest growing 5,000 privately owned companies in the country. About 1,200 to 1,500 individual companies are represented at this conference. So it's a great opportunity for us to get in front of these founders who are looking for capital, looking for where they're going to take their business to grow it. And we're going to replicate the panel that we did at SLOSTEC, communicating a coordinated effort in our state across the Department of Commerce, across EDPA, and Innovate Alabama, working in unison to serve growing companies here in the state. And so, as Cynthia mentioned earlier, it's a hugely impactful panel to show how integrated our approach is to supporting innovation in the state. And that's as fast as I could have done that. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
You did great.
But I would also love to hand it over to Brad Collett. I've eaten into your time, and he's really rehearsed this. He's with Tennessee Riverline, and we'll share more about their impact here in North Alabama really quickly.
TC's impressed the importance of staying on time, so I'm going to stick to my remarks, and if I can direct your attention to the slides that I prepared as well. Happy to share some insight into the work that we're able to do thanks to the power of partnerships and the investment that we're benefiting from through Innovate Alabama. Alabama is graced with abundance of natural resources, landscapes that offer an immersive experiences that range from the passive and beautiful to the sublime and the spectacular, each capable of healing the mind, body, and soul. Alabama's treasured landscapes and the outdoor recreation opportunities they offer power a $6.6 billion outdoor economy in the state, representing 2.2% of state GDP and supporting 66,000 jobs. It does this while promoting a quality of life that is foundational to the state's economic development and entrepreneurship ecosystems, and helping to recruit and retain a talented workforce, particularly in rural areas. Because there is recognition between the relationship between the outdoors and the state's economy, this is foundational to Innovate Alabama's founding. Outdoor recreation is having a moment here in Alabama and beyond. It's not enough, however, for these natural resources and this understanding to coexist passively. In order for these open spaces, trails, caves, waterfalls, and waterways and the wildlife they support to achieve these benefits, they must be accessible to the public through infrastructure and information, and promoted and stewarded by mission-driven and sustainable organizations intent on making these benefits a reality. Here in North Alabama in particular, organizations like the Singing River Trail, North Alabama Trails and Recreation, and the Tennessee Riverline are doing just that through strategic partnerships and intentional efforts. Our efforts are accelerated by the credibility, the networks, and the resources made available by Innovate Alabama. An initiative of the University of Tennessee made possible in Alabama thanks to a multi-year, multi-million-dollar investment by TVA. The Tennessee Riverline reframes the Tennessee River, adjacent public lands, and river communities as a 1.2 million-acre river park, a connected system of outdoor recreation experiences on and along the Tennessee River that offers boating, fishing, paddling, swimming, hiking, biking, and walking, just to name a few of those opportunities. The Tennessee River offers quality of life and healthy lifestyle opportunities to area residents of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities, and is an international destination for outdoor heritage and adventure tourism. More than 200 miles of the Tennessee River's 652-mile reach flows through the Yellowhammer State. Nearly 1 million Alabamians live in counties along its banks. Through the Tennessee River Towns program, 20 Alabama cities and counties today are among the 58 cities and counties in 4 states that benefit from resources and assistance provided by the Tennessee Riverline team. Since 2021, this team has supported Alabama communities to plan and facilitate nearly 100 outdoor recreation and environmental education programs, offering 2,700 participants new river experiences and environmental education opportunities to learn about the river's natural beauty, its cultural heritage, and to participate in its care. The Riverline's planning and design team has collaborated with area residents and leaders to develop conceptual designs for 13 new river access amenities, parks, campgrounds, launch facilities, and trails that reflect a community's unique goals, aspirations, and opportunities, and sets an enhanced trajectory for the community and the region's connection to and relationship with the Tennessee River. Our team also enhances the visibility of existing and future river spaces by showcasing the best that each river town has to offer and providing essential information for visitors who are planning their next Tennessee Riverline journey. These and other impacts of the Tennessee Riverline are indeed powered by partnerships, including Innovate Alabama. In collaboration with the University of North Alabama and thanks to their Innovate Alabama Partner Network grants, we are in the process of delivering a 3-part scope of work that includes the development of an ADA-accessible paddlecraft launch in Sheffield, Alabama that will be the first of its kind on the Tennessee River, establishing a comprehensive set of planning and design standards that will help all communities understand the design, permitting, and site development processes while offering a dynamic catalog of site and regionally specific project ideas, as well as the deployment of 5 new fleets of Riverline kayaks from Jackson County to the Shoals that will further accelerate local and regional river accessibility. We're also partnering with the Lakeshore Foundation out of Birmingham to mobilize additional Innovate Alabama funding in Jackson County, applying for a 2025 Partner Network grant to build new access points in Langston and Scottsboro. And the Riverline's momentum from state funding is being leveraged and accelerated by further investment from the Appalachian Regional Commission through their multi-state ARISE program. We're working on a planning grant with Auburn University and UNA that's setting a stage for a $10 million ARISE implementation grant application that will go in this December. To celebrate these impacts of these partnerships and the momentum made possible by the state and by Innovate Alabama, we're extending an invitation to this board as well as to members of the audience to join the Riverline team, Innovate Alabama leadership and TVA leadership as well as many of our community partners and stakeholders in Decatur on the morning of October 31st for a special Anchored in Alabama celebration event. I thank you for the opportunity to share these insights with you here today, and will gladly stay after today's meeting to answer any questions that they might have inspired. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. That was very efficient delivery, Brad. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, and appreciate all the work you and so many others are doing in outdoor recreation and making those resources available to all of our citizens. All right, that brings us towards the end of our agenda today. This has been a busy and full agenda. I have a couple of quick announcements, but first, is there anything that any board member would like to bring for the good of the order?
Yeah, could I just ask Cynthia, in the future, at some point, now we're sort of in the beginning, the execution stage of what we're doing. Could maybe we get a presentation or a understanding of how we're going to evaluate these things going forward? Like, how will we know these credits, these loans, these investments? How are we going to evaluate the success of those going forward? Thanks.
Any other? Yeah, Dr. Chambers.
Ms. Ferguson, if you have 1 minute after we adjourn, I'd love to ask you a question.
Any others? All right, I would note for the board, for the board that our Q4 meeting will be in Birmingham on December 9th. That'll be an in-person meeting, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. That will coincide with our Innovation Day. So that will be a significant event to showcase all of the work, a lot of the founders, a lot of the efforts and partners that Innovate Alabama has supported and partnered with. So certainly that invitation extends to everybody. I do want to thank particularly everybody in the audience today. This has been a long but substantive agenda. You have been patient. You have withstood some noise and a lot of programming today, but we are thankful for your attention, for your being involved and caring about these efforts. I want to thank particularly also all of the founders and the partner representatives who have presented today. You've taken time from your schedule to coordinate and to be here to make your story known and your involvement known and your efforts known. We are all very grateful for that. Also, she has stepped out, but I do want to note, most of you in the room know Peggy Salmon. She was one of the members of the original Innovation Commission, and so it's fun to see her here today. She was a substantial contributor to those discussions during that period. Very grateful, and it was good to see her today. And I would just remind everybody and ask everybody, please help us tell this story around the state. It matters. These are significant efforts. This is important to the state, but people need to understand and hear about it, inclusive of the leaders in your communities, your chambers of commerce, your elected officials, your state legislators, to understand the importance and significance of these efforts. And finally, I just want to thank the staff again, Cynthia, all of the staff members of Innovate Alabama. It took a lot of work to get ready and execute on this board meeting, and it takes a lot of work each and every day to make all these programs work and be successful in terms of their purpose, mission, and scope. So thank you, Cynthia and the staff. And with that, we are adjourned.